I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
Hello and welcome to Are We Recording, Chris? Welcome to Oops the Podcast. I'm Francis, he's Giulio. We're back. Gee, how are you?
Good, dude. How you doing?
I am splendid. We are continuing to try to find the best setup for our podcast studio, but we are almost there. I know we said that last week, but we haven't. I think we
have progressed in the right direction.
We're making progress.
Very close.
All is well. I have to tell you, you mentioned something before we started recording, where in my most recent alternate side parking Thursdays video, I had a sort of just a thought of how I don't want to do anything anymore.
Yes.
And what did you say? You said
I said I feel the exact same way. The idea of doing anything that I used to do seems not possible. It doesn't even see, dude, I'm not even joking. Like I was going through my old like calendar notes of like things I needed to do from like last year that I just haven't looked at. And I looked at each task and I was like, I can't do any of these things.
It's funny that you say that because for whatever reason, oh, I know why. I was going through my Google Calendar from 2019 because I was trying to find a flight that I have credit for, but I don't remember what flight it was.
That's how they get you.
Yeah.
That's how they get you, dude.
And I know I'm pretty good about writing my flight and stuff down in my Google Calendar. So I was going back and I was looking at like March of 2019, or maybe it was, I don't know what it was. There were, for the whole month, there were 2 to 3 things per day on there.
I know.
That's how busy I used to be.
I know, dude. I used to be the busiest person ever. And now.
Nope. To see if I have more than one thing in a day on my Google Calendar, I get overwhelmed.
Yeah. No, I know. Same. It's crazy. And dude, it'll be the simplest thing. It'll even be as far as like a note about a joke. And I'm like, I don't do jokes anymore.
Yeah.
I don't do comedy anymore. Fuck this note.
I told you I haven't, there are multiple days that pass now where I don't breathe the outside air.
Elaborate on this because you explained it pretty funny.
It's sort of a gift and a curse of having a really great apartment. We love our apartment, but I love it so much that I don't see the reason to leave. I don't need to escape this apartment. This apartment has become the escape.
Yeah, yes.
This is my ark in the storm. And continuing on that thought, I mean, I sometimes feel like I'm in a submarine or a boat, just like traveling as a stowaway, and I can't let any of the other passengers know I'm here, so I have to stay below decks.
Earlier, you even said it as like a cruise ship.
Yeah, like
which is very funny.
Like on a Navy boat where I was assigned this. I have to suck it up. It's 3 months on. But then I'll get a nice long leave to go see my new baby who was born while I was at sea.
There's a gym in the building too. Like you really don't have to go anywhere. It's like a cruise ship.
It is
you need a putting green.
Yeah. I wish they did have
you can put it in your hallway, dude.
A golf simulator here.
Yeah.
But dude, I honestly through the month of January, I really don't see myself leaving much. January is a tough month. Everyone knows that. Everyone says it every year. It's interminably long. But in addition to that, did you know that January is known as divorce month?
Really?
Because this is the month where people get divorced.
Let us not forget that it's also like full on pandemic still.
Oh yeah, it's worse than ever before.
Fully worsening. Like this is the first time we've ever had to do cold January in a pandemic. Mm-hmm. At least last time it was starting to get warm. The pandemic began when it was starting to get warm. It is starting to get as shitty as it can possibly be. Brown snow on the side of the streets.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and dude, like where do you even...
I wouldn't know.
I don't even know.
About the snow on the streets. I don't know what's out there.
So tell me more about divorce month.
Well, apparently the divorce rates tend to soar in January. This is really the month where people's relationships hit the skids.
And that makes sense because people are waiting for the holidays to subside. And then you'd think they'd wait till February, but they're like, nope, fuck it. I hate you.
It's sort of the sweet spot, right?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to get divorced from someone around Valentine's Day, and you're definitely not
That's
supposed
a
to
good
do
point.
it around Christmas.
That's a good point.
So you don't pitch that. You've got this window in between where you have to get it out.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
I wonder if March must also be a big divorce month too.
Yeah, March can be pretty sad and
Contentious.
and that's the time where you realize, well, and then I
The
think
Ides of March.
people smell spring coming, which is the advent
Right.
of summer.
And then you want to be single for that.
You want to be single for sundress season and stuff like that, and
Oh yeah.
rediscover the sowing of your wild oats.
Love it.
But I have a funny thought for you. That this is something I was thinking about. Recently, we were around some people, and I'm not going to get into specifics because that's the very type of thing that gets me into trouble. all the
2021,
time.
no trouble for Francis.
No trouble. But here's my thought, right? How do you feel and what do you do when people around you start fighting with each other?
Oh wow.
And
It's-
specifically couples.
That's a good question. So specifically couples makes this answer a little easier because you're less likely to get involved with a couple.
Oh yeah. I don't mean a fight where you would get involved.
I don't mean but you're saying how do you handle it? And like because
Yeah.
there's ways you can handle it. I mean, you can try to help, but it's futile. Like there's no point.
Yeah.
In trying to help.
I'm not even talking about that kind of a fight. I'm talking about a fight where a couple is fighting with each other and you're nearby and they
Right.
know you're nearby, but they don't care. They're
Right.
just they're those people that have no regard for how uncomfortable
right. How
their
it can be,
fighting is
making
you.
everybody. So but so let me ask you this though. So if in your mind getting involved isn't even an option, then I guess the only option is to like leave
Yes.
or
Yes. Do you leave?
I think that leaving makes you look like a bitch, dude.
So no, but you're not huffing away.
But
You're
still,
slinking. You're
slinking-
slinking.
I guess you can slink in a way that is unnoticeable and that is not passive aggressive.
But they always notice. They always notice. And then do you think that they are insulted that you have slunk?
They should know better, but it sounds like the type of people who just fight in front of other people always think that everyone else is wrong and not them. So maybe they do take offense at the slinking.
Right. Okay, so let me paint this picture.
Okay.
There was a couple, and they were fighting in our living room, and we
Okay.
were in the kitchen. And there's
Okay.
no wall separating those two.
Right. It's
So
open space.
we're in the kitchen, and now we are busying ourselves with tasks that do not need to be done. Tightening the lids of pistachio jars, trying to
Right,
find
right.
some way to occupy ourselves as though the task at hand will somehow mute our ears
Yeah,
to the rabble-rousing occurring mere feet away.
That's tough.
To me, it's a total breach of the social contract.
It's not great, especially if you're in someone else's house. Like you got to let it go, or at least it's okay to kind of. How good of friends are they?
Good friends.
Yeah.
By the way, it wasn't a good fight, though. It wasn't a funny, kind of quirky fight. It was a
No, I know. I figured it was a real
toxic fight.
It was like a yelling fight?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, that's not great. This is just, this reminds me, well, let's finish talking about this part first before we transition. But, so you guys were just kind of trying to fiddle as much as you could.
We were fiddling. We were tinkering. There was lots of tinkering going on. In
Opening
fact,
and closing
at
the
one
almond
point-
butter.
At one point, there was shared tinkering. Because I don't think she could find something to tinker with. And I was like, here, tinker with me together. And
Well, at
we
least
just
you guys
buried
bonded.
ourselves in it.
You probably had a good, a good sexual episode in the aftermath of that.
I
Some
don't know
bonding.
if we did. I don't think we did.
Dude, that's rough, man. And did you end up vacating or what ended up happening?
We just hung on for dear life. You want to hear how insane this is? It was one of our friends' birthdays. And eventually our tinkering led to us. We had bought that person a cake.
Oh, wow.
So we were, here's how crazy this
Wait,
was.
so sorry. It was one of their birthdays?
One of their birthdays.
Got it.
And they had come over.
Okay.
And we had
That's
cooked
really
them
nice.
dinner.
That's really nice.
Yeah. And we cooked them dinner, and we had bought them a cake.
It's very nice.
And the whole reason that we were in the kitchen was to do the dishes, which would then lead to us taking the cake out secretly and lighting the birthday candles so that we could then present the cake and sing happy birthday.
Right.
And we lit the candles, but the fight started escalating. So we had to blow out the candles ourselves, be like, this is not the time to be like, happy birthday to you.
That's pretty great.
So we blew out the candles, and that's when we started really going into the pistachio jars and, rearranging cookbooks and dusting off the top of the microwave, things like that. Oh, my God.
So did you end up bringing the cake out eventually?
We finally did when we found that there was a moment where the fight had subsided enough that we could come in sideways. But we felt rude. It felt ridiculous to bring in a cake as the next chapter of the evening.
Oh God, as they're sitting there angrily, sort of like
stewing,
sort of like oscillated away from each other.
Yeah. Stewing.
God, that's rough.
There was a visible thickness to the air, which we then cut with the most comically ridiculous thing, a birthday cake where we came in singing a very half-hearted happy birthday.
Jesus, dude, that's very difficult. That's very
difficult. So here's my question. Should we have slunk?
No. Like, whatever, dude, in that situation, you just got to handle it as best you can. In theory, they shouldn't hold it against you. And I'm assuming you probably don't hold it against them either, even though it's not ideal. Do you?
I did. My girlfriend did not. I said I wouldn't have done that.
Right.
I'm surprised they did that. They held forth as long as they did. Yeah, probably 10 minutes.
Oh, man.
8 minutes.
An eternity.
It's hard to know. It might have felt like that. Maybe it was 5.
I'll tell you what, man. I would never do that either. But I once ruined one of my best friend's birthday dinners by fighting with my girlfriend.
Did you?
Yes. And this is my girlfriend before my current girlfriend, who was like a real fucking turkey of a person, dude.
I love it. I love it when you call people turkeys.
She's a real turkey.
It's very seasonal.
I guess so, yeah. And she, we got into this big fight, and like I maybe had a couple of drinks, and like I didn't even realize that I was ruining the dinner until I like all of a sudden like realized that there was 9 other people sitting there, and kind of slowly turned my head, and everybody was just like looking down at their guacamole.
Ugh.
And I felt really, really bad. It's my friend Teddy. He's one of my best friends. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I appreciate that he didn't hold it against me because I really didn't mean it. I apologized later. Mm-hmm. Did these people apologize to you at any point?
It was an apology that kind of blamed each other.
Oh, okay.
But it was done not in that moment.
Right.
So
was it like
each
the next
one of
day,
them apologized
that
to
night?
us. But as if to say, I don't know why they treat me that way.
Right.
Which then we can't really accept that apology because accepting it is almost us agreeing with the blame.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, man, they've quickly moved to the top of the divorce list game. Very quickly. They were a sleeper, man. Who knew?
Yes.
That's pretty nuts, man. Wow. Fucking
it
crazy.
was tense. It was weird.
That is tense.
When I was a kid, to your point, I used to get in fights and I just wasn't aware that I was causing a scene.
Yeah.
You know,
sometimes you don't care. You like stop caring. You're so in the moment.
Yeah.
And we're not really like fighting like, you know, we'll if we have to, we both are willing to, but we'd rather avoid it.
I don't want to make a scene.
Yeah.
Some people have no problem making a scene.
I envy that to a degree.
Really? Why?
I don't, because sometimes you like need to get things done.
Yeah, but the people who don't mind making a scene make lots of scenes.
That is true. And that's the problem with a making a scene type person.
They're willing to disrupt and to make people uncomfortable. And those are not good people to have around.
There's no discrimination between when to make a scene and when not to make a scene.
Those people get fewer invitations.
That's true.
They're not the people that you want at your wedding or in your wedding. The scene makers?
Yeah, that's true. But then sometimes like those kind of people are really successful in business. And I'm kind of like, man, I wish I had that like chutzpah.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes, that's true.
You know, that's the way that I think about it sometimes when I admire qualities that other people have. Like the type of person who's willing to just like start yelling at someone anywhere. Like I don't necessarily have that. But
Yeah.
you're right. Like you, at the end of the day, like what we are saying about this is correct. I'm just thinking about how sometimes I like have the grass is greener mentality, even when it's with bad qualities.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you're right, dude. It's like,
No,
it's not ideal.
I think to your point, being able and willing to stand up for oneself when you're really being mistreated
It's imperative.
is a great quality.
You need it.
And a lot of people don't have that because they're so afraid of disrupting
exactly.
that they don't want to tip the balance. But some people have a hair trigger and they go too quickly.
Yeah, agreed.
And it doesn't matter if it's almost as if it seems like they save their fights for public places.
Right. Everything
like,
is them being slighted.
Is it just peaceful when you're alone and then you wait to get out? Something about this just makes you think you have an audience.
Right.
Now,
I don't know.
I don't know.
And also, there's something about people like that where they take everything as a personal attack.
Yeah.
And that is so exhausting to be around. Especially
is.
you're just like afraid you're going to make someone mad all the time. And then eventually I get to a point where I'm like, why am I fucking tippy-toeing around this person? What are they, the king or something?
Right.
Fuck this person. Fuck them. But my challenge to everybody listening is, value yourself as much as the people who you fucking pitter-patter around.
Right.
And if you're going to ruffle feathers, maybe that person's feathers are just going to ruffle no matter what.
That's a great point. Yeah. And I also wondered this. Is it more offensive that they would have done this, that they would have come into our home and done this?
I think so, yeah. I think
because
definitely.
our home, my girlfriend and I endeavor to keep it peaceful.
Yeah.
We're really intense about that because I need that. She's inherently a peaceful person, very meditative and kind of in the moment.
She's direct though in a way that is like unoffensive.
Yes,
which I think is a very good quality.
But we revert. She keeps us peaceful, right? And
Yes.
I have learned how much better that is in terms of winding down in the evening, in terms of the general tenor at which this apartment hums along.
Right.
And so when you bring people who clash into the home, and they, especially at night, and they start raising the pitch, and things start vibrating, and you feel, I hate to sound like fucking Eastern European, whatever it is, but when things start getting all fucking chaotic like that, I take it personally.
The vibe.
In my own home.
The vibe.
Do I have the right
Yes.
to tell them you can't fight like that here?
Well, maybe not. Like maybe that's being, but they should know better. I mean, dude, if you were hosting me for my birthday and I came over here and you had a cake for me and you were standing there holding the cake while the fucking candle wax was dripping all over your dick, that is unacceptable. Dude.
They didn't know we had the cake because we had been very secretive about it.
That's nice. But still, it's an occasion. It's different if I invite you over and I get into a fight with my girlfriend in my house.
Yeah.
That's much better. It's
Right.
not ideal, but that's a better scenario. You have to check it at the door when you're a guest, even if it's a good pal.
Yes.
As best you can. Especially, you had them over.
Right.
Like formally, come over for dinner. Like it's different than just like being over on a Saturday afternoon. Even
Right.
that's better than fighting.
Right.
So I agree. I think you have every right to be upset about that.
Okay. So my next question is this. What do you think about people who, when you're around them and they take a phone call and they put it on speakerphone and start fighting on speakerphone?
Oh my God, that's the worst. I mean, dude, I was thinking about this when I was in the Bahamas. There was a guy walking around the pool on his AirPods. Be like, oh yeah, it's a quality product. It's a quality product. Like, I want to kill that guy. And that guy isn't even on speakerphone.
Yeah.
Speakerphone is unacceptable.
I don't understand it. I am a speakerphone person myself. I have become that guy.
And that's fine.
I love not holding on to holding my phone to my ear like it's 1985.
Right, yeah, getting all sweaty.
Yeah, but I only do it in my office when I'm by myself. I set my phone on the desk and then just talk over it like it's an intercom system.
Right.
Like I'm in a board meeting with those little black spidery things. Hi, Mike. It's John here. Now, what were you telling? finger sandwiches in the back. Someone catered it. You ever been in one of those board meetings?
More like my first job.
Yeah.
Yes, with the big table.
When they would cater the lunch.
Oh yeah, and then like, dude, the funny thing about those is like everybody gets really healthy stuff when everyone's watching,
Mhm.
and then throughout the day, the unhealthy stuff starts disappearing
Yeah.
because people go back over when no one's around and grab
Oh
shit.
yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, dude. No, I agree, dude. The speakerphone thing is not acceptable.
Okay. All right. So then I have one other question for you. Actually,
But do you agree?
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I think, and you see, I think it's older people.
Yeah.
I think older people have taken to walking the streets on speakerphone.
Yeah, they're just not that. Man, I really hope I don't become that. I hope I stay open to change and I stay adaptable as I get older. Because, like, it's really tough to watch these people. You get them on Apple TV and they're just like, don't know what to do with it. You're like, fuck.
Yeah.
That's sad.
It is. I'm definitely going to be that guy. My girlfriend has become the tech hand in our house. I have to have her install new software.
You don't know how to do stuff?
I don't need to. She's there.
This is how it starts. You're going to be speakerphone guy soon, dude. You're going to be the equivalent of speakerphone guy. Dude, that's how I know I'm getting old, by the way, because I think of 50 as young now.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, he's young. 50 is young.
50 seems young. Yeah. 50
Right?
does seem young.
Remember when 30 seemed old? Oh, he's like 30.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. Because you would hear, the reason you'd say that is that you'd hear that your 23-year-old friend was dating a 30-year-old.
That's exactly
And
why.
you would say,
You're like,
he's
oh, gross.
30.
Cut to me being that guy when I'm 30.
Yeah, exactly.
God, it's fucking.
Hey, all right, here's a question for you. And this is something that
You got a lot of firepower today, dude.
Yeah, I
love
got
it.
questions for you. This is something that I know, given your living situation, that you don't really have to face anytime right now or soon, maybe.
The fuck's that supposed to mean?
You'll see.
This is an example of a guy who takes everything personal,
Yeah,
like we were talking
yeah,
about before.
yeah.
All right, go for it.
What is the limit for which parents or guests can stay with you?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. I think that the important thing is to make it clear that there is a time frame,
Yes.
as opposed to just assuming that people aren't going to overstay their welcome. Because sometimes that ends up happening, and that's not good.
We have such a lovely home now that people who come
Are going to want to stay here.
are going to want to use it as their New York visiting hotel.
Yeah.
My parents are coming tonight. Her parents were here last weekend. And listen, they're lovely people. Obviously, it's our parents. However, having a guest in your home changes everything. You feel it. And whether it's little things like I don't feel that comfortable walking from the bathroom to my dresser in a towel anymore,
right.
or, totally being myself, having to be extra clean, closing
no fucking
doors
no
that you
smoking the bong.
Yeah, sure. No
Yeah.
bongs away,
Bongs.
Whatever it may be, you are now accommodating another person, if not
Yeah.
two people. And what happened was, her mom was here last week and she was so helpful. She's got such an amazing eye for interior decoration. She helped
so
us
helpful.
rearrange everything. She's the one who set up this room
Nice.
and told me to put the desk over there and put the Peloton there, and it just all of a sudden the whole thing was
suddenly worked.
way more open.
And it was like right in front of your eyes the whole time.
Yeah.
Dude, I know those kind of people are so helpful to have around.
It was amazing. It was
Awesome.
amazing. And she was intending originally to only stay Friday night, but then we didn't get as much work done as we had hoped on Saturday. So we asked her to stay
Great.
another night. And so she stayed. She may have come on Saturday, stayed Sunday, and then left Monday. Anyway, she stayed 2 nights, and it was spectacular. But it did, towards the end, I started to realize, what that I did have a threshold, whether it was her mom or
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
parents or anyone really,
Yeah.
for how long I would feel comfortable having guests before I felt like I wanted them to get out.
Right. So I think there's two things that are important there. I think, first of all, parents, in my experiences, and I might be wrong, but I'm assuming your parents are like this. I know my parents are like this. My parents are way more likely to feel they were overstaying their welcome before they even were.
Mm.
Like they don't want to be in my hair. They're like, this is weird. I don't want to be jamming up your style. You have a life.
Mhm.
Like that's what their tendency is, to be like that. So I think that like with parents, in my experience at least, it's not gonna get to that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Hopefully. I don't really know. That might be incorrect. But secondly, what I would say is you should just be your fucking self also.
Okay.
So like
Yeah.
so that way it kind of like makes it the best case scenario. So even if you have guests coming over, you don't have to like change the way you're living in a perfect world. I mean, that might not be possible. I think those are two things to consider. Having said that, of course, people can stay for too long. And I mean, it happens more in like comedy kind of people.
Yeah. Couch surfers.
Yeah, where they'll like end up staying for 2 months. And you're like, dude, get the
Occupiers.
fuck out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
you're like, oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Because you want to seem like welcoming and generous. And then all of a sudden you're like, fuck, I want him out of here.
Yes. Yeah, I think with people my age, I'd have no problem telling them you have to be out by this. I would evict friends.
Yeah.
I would. But
And I feel like you'd be good at it. At doing it in a way that like wasn't
yeah.
like contentious or whatever.
Well, the thing that's difficult is that there are people in my life who I could see them having a life event that took them out of their own home and marooned them, where they might ask if they could come stay at my place.
Mhm.
And naturally I would welcome them.
Okay.
And when it's somebody who is either, gone through a divorce, as we said,
Mhm.
or, is in between jobs or something like that, how do you tell them you can't stay more than a week or 2 weeks or whatever it is?
Right.
How do you throw them back out on the street?
And dude, I think one of the ways is like using the parent angle, being like, listen, we need the guest room because our parents are coming.
That's a good thought. That's
You
a
know,
really good, yeah.
Like we're gonna need it in 2 weeks. So like I would love to have you for more, but like we'll fucking kick you out.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? I don't know, because
Right.
like yeah, dude, it's like enough is enough when it comes to that kind of stuff.
One time I spent the weekend staying when I was in college. I came to New York City for some job interviews. I think it was like during the week. It was 2 nights during the week. And I had 4 kids that I had played lacrosse with but had graduated. We're all living together in an apartment in the Lower East Side. They had a roof deck and they had ordered all of this IKEA outdoor furniture, but they had never unpacked it and assembled it. And there were dozens, it felt like, of boxes of this furniture clogging up their entire living room. And so I had my interview during the day. They were all at work. I came back. I then took all of the boxes to the roof and assembled their furniture for them.
That's nice.
As a way of thanking them for letting me stay
good.
there.
That's a good, yeah.
To this day, it's the best thing I've ever done as a thank you.
And I think it's important to like try to go above and beyond.
Because then you get invited back.
You get
Then
invited
you're
back.
welcome anytime, and they mean it.
And also, you don't have to feel like a fucking loser every time they like walk by you. You know what I mean? Like if
Yeah.
you go above and beyond, you make your chances more like higher of being
Right.
welcomed and accepted while you're there. Also,
You're a welcome presence in the apartment.
which
Yeah.
is nice. Dude,
Yep.
by the way, over under. I know that your goal for 2021 is not to get in trouble. What do we think the over under is on that? I'm saying, I want to root for you, but I'm saying
You can smell it, can't you?
I'm saying by March 1, you're fucked.
March is generous.
You think earlier?
March?
You think by next week you're just gonna?
Dude, it's any minute. And I'm not being dramatic. The things are, I feel like I'm a lobster in a boiling pot of water. And at first I'm like, this feels like a jacuzzi. And I'm like, it's getting too fucking hot here. Hello.
Oh boy.
Oh, speaking of which, this was one of the problems that I faced when her mom was here.
Mm-hmm.
She liked the apartment at a much warmer temperature than I do.
Jesus.
And I felt like she kept asking if, she would shiver and then ask if we could turn it up, and we would turn it up. And I felt like J.K. Simmons' character in the jazz movie.
Oh yeah, I never finished that one.
You
The one
never
with
finished that movie?
It's really good. I know.
It's
Miles
one of the best
Teller, whatever.
movies
I watched like 40 minutes of it, and then
Oh my God! Watch it to the end. What are
I
you
need to watch
doing?
it. I need to watch it. I know.
What's that movie called, Chris?
It's about
I
drumming.
can never remember the
It's
name
about
of that
drumming.
movie. It's the name of the song they play. J.K. Simmons, Miles Teller.
He won Academy Award.
Whiplash.
Yeah, Whiplash.
So when he's first come into the band, right, and he's playing the song,
Mm.
J.K. Simmons keeps stopping him and saying, "Not quite my tempo, not my tempo." Right? I wanted to keep saying, "Not quite my temperature, not my temperature," because we kept turning it up,
Yeah.
and then eventually I was gonna just fucking lose it
You were
and throw a
just
chair
dying.
through the window and be like, "Finally, some air,"
Jesus, dude.
That's how I felt. Not quite my temperature.
That's tough.
Not quite my temperature.
That is tough. Well, you got to figure out a way. Yeah, that's a tough one. I feel like, when I go to my parents' house, they like it really cold. So
Yeah.
I just show up with like
Bundle.
with a hoodie because I know I need to adapt to their temperature.
People who get cold can bundle to comfortability. People who are hot can't get naked to comfortability.
They shouldn't. We don't recommend it. At least.
It's on the cold people
Yeah.
to find a way to make themselves comfortable.
Especially unless it's their place,
Fine.
Yeah. But yes, absolutely, dude.
All right.
And I had something that was very frustrating this morning, man. Like
Hit me.
virtual medicine. Have you
Mhm.
had like a virtual doctor's appointment yet during all this?
No, but I need to. My feet are out of control.
That's funny that you say that. Podiatry today was my.
You saw a podiatrist.
So I had a follow-up appointment with a podiatrist virtually. Okay.
Mhm.
They didn't. So they were like, "We're gonna send you a link." They're like, "Have you set up my chart?" I'm like, "No, I haven't fucking set up my chart. I don't want more shit on my phone." They're like, because they told me they would text me a link. I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, fine." I don't get. I have my appointment's at 9:40 a.m. I don't get texted the link. I call. I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" They're like, "Oh, we'll remind the doctor." They remind the doctor. Still don't get anything. Then I go to shower. I get out of the shower at 10:12. I see that at 10:07 they had sent me the link.
Oh boy.
I then log in and I sit there for a half an hour and the doctor doesn't come on the fucking thing.
Oof.
I then call back and they're like, "Hey, we don't have you in the system." I'm like, "What are you talking about? I just called you. What do you mean you don't have me in the system?" They're like, "Let me transfer you." They transfer me. I end up with, they're like, "Sir, this is primary care." I'm like, what are you talking about? This is primary care. I finally get to the podiatrist and they're like, "Oh yes, sir, we have you logged in. Just stay in longer. The doctor's coming." I'm like, "My appointment was at 9:40. This is telemedicine. Like it's supposed to be on time."
Mm-hmm.
I go back on for another half hour and I end up not seeing the doctor.
Oh my God.
How shitty is that, dude? I want to pull my fucking hair out. I'm like, who has time to sit around for 2 hours waiting for the doctor? It's a Zoom appointment.
I wonder where people actually like doctors.
I feel like out of the city, it's so easy.
Really?
When I was a kid, it was the easiest thing ever. Maybe it's because my parents had it all together.
My encounters with people in medicine over the last year, if not longer, have been nothing short of catastrophic.
If just as far as like it being
The
disorganized,
bureaucracy,
the
the
is
paperwork, the
terrible.
back channeling, the dealing with insurance and not getting it,
It's a nightmare.
covered for stuff. I mean, it's a morass of fucking nonsense, and nobody's on the same page. Nobody knows what's what, and nobody's helping.
I know.
You're not getting better.
I know.
And it just drives me insane.
Yeah, dude. Even when I started yelling on the phone today, I was like, I've been sitting here for an hour. They just like let me throw a tantrum and
Yeah.
then weren't sorry. And they're like, "Okay, do you want to reschedule for February 18th? I was like, "No."
People accuse men of being negligent about getting checkups and going to the doctor. This is why. We don't. It's not that
such a
we
pain.
don't want to be healthy or on top of our health. It's that we don't want to deal with this shit.
It sucks. Dude, it's really fucking unpleasant. So now she just emailed me and she's like, "Oh, I called you, you didn't answer." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I also don't have like great cell phone service in my room.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Can you FaceTime audio me?" I'm like, "I can't ask the doctor that." I'm like, "This is just such a fucking disaster." So I don't know, man. We'll see. Hopefully I end up getting to have my follow-up appointment.
What's wrong with your feet?
I have my toenails fucked up. So they've been giving me medicine and now I have to like,
Is it falling off?
no, it's like a long story. It's not worth getting into.
Okay, fine.
What's wrong with your feet?
They itch and burn so badly that I don't know what to do. And last night, I thought it might be athlete's foot,
Mhm.
but it's been so much more severe than that. And I think athlete's foot is typically in between your toes. Have
Interesting.
you ever dealt with athlete's foot?
Kind of, yeah.
You can look at my toes. See how red that one is?
Mm.
See, you can see how red some of them are.
Have you tried anything for it yet?
Well, last night I took a Benadryl, which
Mm.
is something I had read, and if nothing else, it made me so tired that we went to bed at 9:45.
You should
which-
try that Lamisil spray.
Is that what I should do?
Yeah, you might as well just like try athlete's foot stuff while you're trying them.
I-
You might as well try self-medicating before the appointment and see if it works.
Here's the thing about Dumbo, my new neighborhood. They don't have a pharmacy here.
Really?
There's no CVS, no Rite Aid, no Dwayne
Actually?
Reed. Yeah,
That's crazy.
they have grocery stores and fancy men's clothing stores and a nice bakery, but they don't have a CVS.
Damn.
In other worlds, it would be nice. Do you know what I mean? That we don't have these like bullshit
yeah,
in
but,
Manhattan.
But it ends
there's
up being convenient. It's easy to
yes.
bitch about them, but you need a CVS.
That's true. That's true.
You just need a fucking CVS.
And then there's this, there is a CVS, but it's up the hill. Everything's up the hill.
Mm,
When there's a hill between me and foot spray, I'm not getting the foot spray.
that's tough.
Just give me marijuana or give me death.
It's windy down here too.
It sure
Makes
is.
it like less.
Whistles,
Yeah.
whips through the streets.
Dude, I read 2 very funny news stories the other day, and I wanted to share them with you. because
Hit
I
me,
thought they-
baby.
Okay, so I don't know if you saw this article, but in Quebec, these people got fined for violating quarantine
I
because
think I did see this.
this woman was walking her husband
Yeah.
on a leash.
I did see this.
And dude, when they asked her, they're like, "What are you doing?" She goes, "I'm walking my dog."
Yeah.
She answered them honestly. Now, I'm wondering, like, do you think this was some kind of like bondage thing, or do you think that she was like, "They'll never know"?
Okay.
Like,
Well, there are 2 really important questions. And the first one is, was her husband walking on all 4s?
I don't know. They didn't say. But
Because
that's funny. I hope he
if
was.
he was standing up, it makes me think that they were just being smart and trying to, take advantage of a loophole.
That's what I'm thinking, right? Like,
right. But if he was on all 4s, then it does feel like some strange role play, maybe sexual thing.
right. Like she's
Because-
a slave or something.
I have seen in the meat packing district one day, I saw a man walking another man on a leash.
Was he walking on all 4s? You found it?
No, his subservient being
Oh, okay.
was wearing a gimp mask.
Okay.
Full blacked out leather mask, could not see, right?
Mhm.
And was completely in the power
Got
of
it.
his handler.
Got it.
And the guy in the gimp mask, I mean, it was kind of scary. Like I found
Yeah,
it
yeah,
scary,
yeah.
honestly. And that's one of those things where, they were doing normal shit. Like they were window shopping at Barney's. The guy
Like, oh, that
who was
looks nice.
holding the leash was looking at outfits in Barney's and then tugging on the leash to say, let's keep going.
Here, boy. Oh, dude, that's crazy.
And I tried to take a little video of it, which felt like I was being an asshole.
Exploitative.
But at what point
That's fair game, dude.
is something so absurd that you don't have to just embrace it and be progressive?
Right. You're like, this is unusual.
You can say this is over the line. If I'm a child or if I had children, how am I supposed to explain that?
That has nothing to do with being progressive or not. If you want to take you could be fine with it and still want to video it. It's an unprecedented event.
I would say clearly that they were probably dating or
Right.
maybe not. I
Some
don't
kind of
know.
Sexual involvement.
Yeah, it's some kind of thing, right?
Right.
So it's a sexual orientation thing.
Yeah.
So am I supposed to just say that's how they roll and it's beautiful and love has many different shades?
I guess, dude. I mean,
I felt like the guy in the gimp mask needed help. But it's entirely possible that he had been an equal signer-upper for it.
Right, of all that. No, that's true. Like, but yeah, you weren't sure if he was like being held captive.
It was a prisoner in broad daylight, was how it looked.
Dude, I was at a nightclub once. These people we used to hang out with, they used to have these like parties. I think the place was called the Delancey or I forget what it's called. It's on Delancey Street. It's
It's the Lower East Side.
yeah, it's one of these
Yeah.
places. But I was sitting at the table and I noticed that the ground under me was like unstable. And I looked down and there was a rug beneath me that was rolled up, but there was eyes cut out of the rug and
Oh
a
my
mouth hole.
God.
And there was a guy rolled up in the fucking blanket or in the rug. And I look at my friend, I'm like, and she goes, oh yeah, he's a slave. He likes it. And he literally goes, I like it. And I was like,
What?
okay, dude.
All right, but hold on.
I swear.
So much to unpack here, including the guy. I mean,
What the fuck?
all right, hold on. He can't do that to you. You can't. In my opinion, he needs to get your consent to be your footstool.
Oh, interesting. That's interesting.
Right?
Yeah, dude, yes.
If
Like,
everyone else is on board with it, that's fine. But in my opinion, that's so out there
Yeah.
that he needs to make sure, or whoever's initiating that needs to make sure that everyone, they need to let you know when you're coming in.
yeah, like this group of people, like their parties were like lightly BDSM themed, but it stopped at that. It stopped at themed. There would be like an eclectic group of like people who would call themselves sort of like the fringe of society people, integrated with just like normal people going out. And we would go after our Fat Baby show on Wednesday nights. But yes, I agreed that I did not expect to be stepping on a guy rolled in a fucking rug. That guy's probably like married too. He's like, sweetie, I have to work late. Like, is that worse than cheating on your wife?
Dude, this is explored.
This
This
is a good
is
question.
explored in Billions. Do you watch Billions?
No,
Have you ever watched it?
no.
It's done really well. Paul Giamatti is
Like fetish shit?
He fetishizes BDSM stuff.
Interesting. Because you're not cheating, but like that's fucking weirder than cheating almost.
Yeah,
It's a weirder secret.
It is in many ways. We don't really understand it, but it is something that gets lampooned a lot, and I think that people who aren't into it think it's very strange.
Yeah, I'm sure our listeners have some good stories about this kind of stuff. Did you ever discover a fetish of somebody down the road that was like difficult for you to be cool with?
Well, I was going to ask
if you discovered it.
Has there ever been a part of you that thought either to be the one, the dominator, or the subservient? I think it's called like dom and a sub, right?
Yeah.
Would be exciting.
No, that's not really my thing.
If someone you were dating asked you, would you agree to it?
I would be down to dominate. I wouldn't down to be like ball gagged and whipped and shit, and like burned. I don't want to get hurt.
Hate pain.
Yeah,
It's why I hated lacrosse so much. Just those stinging checks that I would get.
God, dude. That sounds horrible.
It sucks.
Yeah, that's rough.
So yeah, to be burned, to have someone put a cigarette out on you, to have
Fuck
someone
that.
step on your hand in a stiletto.
Fuck, dude. No,
Oh
like
my God.
I can't imagine how that's.
Let me
pleasurable.
ask you this: do those people enjoy stubbing their toe?
Maybe if they were told to do it by their master.
So does it have to
Right.
be an order? Does it have to be levied against them by another person?
It seems like that is the whole point of it. And I wonder if there's anybody who's into that who hasn't suffered some sort of trauma, or who isn't a person who's like really powerful, who like gets off by not having their power stripped away. Like, is there something that is like not extraordinary about your situation that makes you into that?
That's great.
I wonder.
That's
on,
great.
on a level of like real pain. Because like getting tied up, handcuffs, like that stuff's fun. But like getting burned and shit, like buried alive.
Oh God, does that happen?
I don't know. But like it seems like it could. Like I don't
Yeah.
really know.
Well,
Dude, I got one more.
yeah, hit me.
Right.
Wow.
Right. So that
So she was using the dog
the loophole.
loophole.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
go
Chris just said that with the Canadian couple, that she was walking her husband as a way of it being the only way for her to go outside,
right.
which is pretty brilliant.
Yeah, And then they're like, "What are you guys doing out?" And she's like, "Oh, he can't talk back. He's a dog. Are you stupid? Are you stupid, monsieur?"
Isn't it obvious? What do you mean? What am I doing outside? What are you doing outside?
Literally. Okay, so one other funny news story. And dude, I've really been there at the end of this like newsletter I get every morning of the news. There's always these like quirky news stories, and I really enjoy them. This is the other one. So Pablo Escobar, in one of his mansions, had these hippos that aren't native to Colombia. He like imported them as exotic animals, and they ended up like escaping into the wild and breeding and becoming an invasive species in Colombia.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
So
now
what
there's-
does that mean, though? What does that mean in an invasive
So the
species?
hippos negatively affect the ecosystem in a way where they make other naturally occurring species go extinct.
Wow.
It's fucking
Wow.
So now there's like dozens of hippos roaming around, and like it's a huge problem.
That's amazing.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, yes, it is crazy. I don't know what I hear hippos are very dangerous.
I've heard that too. Yeah.
Isn't it amazing how everyone knows the same facts about weird animals?
I know, it's true. That is true. That one got around. That like
Yeah.
that got around within the last like 15 years. Before that, we didn't know that.
Like, what do you know about peregrine falcons?
I think that they fly the fastest. or
That's
something.
exactly right. That's exactly right. You and I both know that.
There's a
right?
bunch of them in New York City, apparently.
Are there?
According to a Planet Earth episode.
Huh.
I think it might be a different breed, but
Fun.
it's funny that Pablo Escobar he's impacted the world so much still to this day.
Yeah.
Even to the fucking wildlife, his pets infecting the ecosystem.
There was a story I read today about a racing pigeon who had come over on a boat from America to, I think, England, and it was Australia,
Right.
and they were trying to decide whether or not they should execute the pigeon.
What? Why?
Because they knew that breed of pigeon,
Oh.
should it mate with other pigeons,
Got it.
would become an invasive species.
Dude.
And then America arranged the Society of Racing Pigeons arranged to have the pigeon shipped back to the United States. Bought it a boat ticket or whatever.
Dude, do you ever think about shit like that and be like, how the fuck did they figure that out?
I do, but I also wonder, right? Because people talk about humans and their, how much they fuck up the ecology and the sort of biosystems of whatnot. But that doesn't mean that there weren't invasive species and problematic species before humans, right?
Right.
Weeds that grow in lakes and tangle lakes up, right?
Right.
That happens with or
Right.
without human beings.
Right.
So
We are also an invasive species,
indeed,
which is crazy.
what would the world have looked like with? I mean, obviously, it's just such a ridiculous question, but without humans, like, would all the
Right.
animals be existing in harmony,
Right, I
or
see what
would
you're saying.
there be
There
some
still would
crazy
be-
mutant triceratops that's like fucking everything up
Right.
because there was no one around to shoot it dead?
Right.
And,
right.
you know,
No, you're right. Like someone would have risen to the top.
would there be so many deer that we wouldn't even that other animals wouldn't be able to walk outside without
Just
stepping
deer
on a
everywhere.
deer,
Yeah, that's true.
right? Because humans keep the deer population in check, right?
Right.
So I don't know.
It's crazy, man. I've been feeling like shitty about myself recently. I think that I am typically worse at everything. I'm like, what sets me apart from other people? Is it just the fact that I'm willing to like go stand on stage and talk to people and make a fool out of myself?
God,
Isn't
where did this thought come
Dude,
from?
maybe it's just the January shit, dude.
I thought you were gonna say something about animals.
No, because dude, like the thing about figuring out the invasive species, like a scientist had to be like, this particular breed of falcon cannot, or pigeon can't breed with this kind of pigeon. Someone had to figure that out. I walk down the street, I see these buildings. I'm like, people built this? I can't build shit. I can't do anything.
Yeah, but Giulio, here's the thing. As long as you're decent as a person, there's room for you.
That's encouraging.
That's the least.
That's encouraging.
Right?
That's encouraging.
If you're not going to be somebody who develops the polio vaccine or invents the iPhone or connects the world in some meaningful way
or has
solves-
a strong work ethic, or who can focus, or who can problem solve, or
Yeah, but I'm saying someone who
who doesn't get
fundamentally
stressed for no
betters
reason, who has
society.
self-control.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm a loser, dude.
No, stop. You're fucking domino affecting yourself. If you're not going to be somebody who fundamentally betters the world, right? Then you, at the very least, should be somebody who doesn't make the world worse. And you are unequivocally somebody who does not make the world worse.
I appreciate that.
You make the world better. The people who
Thank you.
know you and the people who are around you love you
It's nice.
and universally point to you as a guy that is liked.
That's very nice.
And that's too many endorsements for them to be wrong.
Right.
Whereas
There's value in that.
I have people who say that guy is terrible, which is why I have to work harder to develop stuff that changes
guy is
things.
terrible.
I'm aware
That's savage, dude.
that when I'm like 70, I'm gonna have to make a last minute campaign to solve AIDS in order to punch my ticket to heaven.
No, dude.
Yeah. No,
That's fine.
and I'm
That's
okay
fine,
with
man.
it.
That's fine.
I can't help it. It's just who I am. But
You're a very nice guy, dude. You're a very nice,
yeah,
likable
to
guy.
some, it's binary.
I find it very funny, even though I know it's not funny for you, but it's funny at how controversial of a person you are.
Yeah.
With like, you really typically mean well in situations. Like, it's funny to see you get into trouble, but hopefully not in 2021.
That's right. That's right. Here's to 2021 and another week of not having world-ending trouble fall upon my head.
Air cheers to that.
That's
dude.
right. And
Fucking-
thanks for joining us. It's Oops the Podcast. Everybody, send us your thoughts about BDSM. If you've ever done any of that, we'd love to hear it. oopsthepodcast@gmail.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow our Instagram, Oops the Podcast. I'm Francis. He's Giulio, and we'll
Yes.
see you soon.
One more thing. We're
Yeah.
probably going to be like changing up the merch store. So if you want to buy any of the existing stuff, it'll probably be up there for a couple more weeks. And then we're going to probably do something different. So get
Nope.
that while you can.
Get it while it's hot.
And yeah, that's it.
Oh, Chris
got
has
Chris,
got a final
baby.
thought. Jesus Christ. Here we go.
I just wanted to say that you guys bring joy and escapism to so many people's lives that you should feel good about that.
Oh,
and
that's
you
very
forget
sweet.
about that. Because
No.
a lot of people always message us and they tell us, and it means, just
That's very sweet, Chris.
Thanks,
and we don't
That's very
take that for
nice. We
granted.
appreciate that. That's a
definitely
very nice point.
don't. So
Thanks, bro.
thank you, everybody. Yeah.
Needed that today.
All right. That's it. We're Oops the Podcast. We'll see you. Thanks, guys.
Guys, if you like this video, we got plenty of other videos. Just click and subscribe and check them out. Thank you very much.
Oops.